Hmm.
Sorry, guys. Evidently, I was muted all this time. Wow. All right. Well, starting over from the top.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Laura. All right, we're good now. Now I don't even remember everything I was saying. All right, so the Community Council is the primary governance board for the Ubuntu community. We oversee anything that is community related, including all of the sub-councils and projects that are a part of the Ubuntu community. There are 8 of us on the Community Council. Mark Shuttleworth is the one permanent member that we have. All 7 of the rest of us get elected by Ubuntu members. So anybody who's made a significant and sustained contribution to Ubuntu and has obtained membership gets a vote in who's on the Community Council. With me, I've got Laura, who is also on the council, and in IRC we have Elizabeth, who, due to being involved in work stuff at the moment, can't be on the Hangout itself. And we may have Elfie joining us shortly. Very shortly, as it turns out. Hi, Elfie.
Hi.
So we have regular IRC meetings the first and third Thursday of the month. That's where we generally check in with the various teams that make up the Ubuntu community, as just a general health check with them and to see if there's anything we can do. Those meetings are also open to anybody who wants to bring up a topic with us. We have an agenda. I'll post that in the IRC, where anybody can add something to that if they want to bring up something in one of our meetings. If you want to bring us something directly and in private, we do have a mailing list that you can use to contact us directly that way. Hoping somebody can post the actual address for that, because if I say it off the top of my head, I'm probably going to get it wrong. But I think it's ubuntu-communitycouncil@list.ubuntu.com. So anybody in the community can contact us anytime. We're always here to help. This specific Q&A is just an open time for people who have general questions about the Ubuntu community or the way it's governed to ask us those questions. If you are on IRC, we are in #ubuntu-us-community on Freenode. If you are watching on summit.ubuntu.com, then you should have an embedded IRC widget right below the video here that's already connecting to that room. If you have a question, use the word question in all caps at the very beginning of it. That makes it easy for us to see them as they come in, and so that they don't get lost. I think that's everything that I said while I was muted. So any questions from anybody, go ahead and start asking them in IRC. Laura, Elfie, is there anything you wanted to add or talk about while we wait for questions?
Yeah, just to kind of mention that, we are available to talk, not just to governance bodies or to teams, but if you have got questions about the community or what's happening in the desktop environment, do come and talk to us. We can always raise them with the relevant people or put you in contact. Know that we're not just the escalation point for certain things, that if you want to talk to us in advance, feel free just to reach out to us. Either ping us on IRC or drop us an email. We're very approachable.
And one thing I didn't mention, I mentioned that any Ubuntu member can vote for who's on the community council. Being an Ubuntu member is also the only requirement for being on the community council. So anybody who has obtained membership and wants to run in the next open elections is eligible for that. It's not limited to a certain set of people other than Ubuntu members. Elfie, was there something you were going to say?
No, you said it.
Perhaps even twice.
Oh, I'm sure I've done it at least twice. I need a bigger light on my mute button so that I notice it when it's on. All right, so any questions in IRC from anybody?
Yeah, so there's a question on IRC there. Can anybody non-technical be part of the council? For example, people helping out in other areas like desktop design and such. Yes.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
am true testament to this.
Absolutely.
We do have a variety of people who are technical and non-technical, developers, non-developers on the council. It's about how you've shown your involvement, how you've been involved. Maybe you've been involved in running the loco team, been involved in documentation, the forums. There's lots of ways to be involved in the Ubuntu community, and then put forward yourself for a nomination to be on the community council.
All right, DPM is asking, do you feel the various Ubuntu teams have a good understanding of the role of the community council?
Sometimes. To be honest, I don't think they really do. This is only like an escalation point. And that's unfortunate, really, because that's sometimes what we do. But a lot of the time is us actually being helping to involve different communities to talk to one another, point people in the right direction. We are there to actually help people, but sometimes people just don't see us online. But we are always there to help people out.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to remember that we are here to provide assistance as well as just resolutions. So if you feel that your community is getting stuck or needs help promoting something or anything like that, you can come to the community council.
In fact, you can generally ping any of us, I think. I think most of us are on IRC 24/7. We might not actually get your question for a few hours, but I can't imagine any of us would ignore you.
Yeah, speaking for myself, my IRC client is always connected, whether I'm paying attention to it or not. So if you use my IRC nick in your message, I will at least see it when I get back to my computer again. DS McGuire says that he does need help applying, I'm assuming for membership. So lucky for you, Belkinza is in the IRC channel. She is on the membership board, and she can tell you all about what you need to do in order to apply and to get your application ready.
The one thing to think about when you're going for membership and when you're working in the Ubuntu community is ask people for that little thumbs up. Ask people just to leave a testimonial in your wiki page while it's fresh in their mind. It doesn't mean you have to go for membership straight away, but it does mean that when you're ready to go for membership, you've got some testimonials to show your involvement. And also, just it's encouraging just to leave that message for somebody else, for somebody new in the community. Supposing they've just done a simple translation or fixed a wiki page, why not actually just leave a testimonial on their page saying, you know what, well done, guys, thanks for helping, being part of the Ubuntu community. It's important to say thank you.
Yeah, I want to reinforce that. It only takes a couple minutes to do, and if you are an Ubuntu member, then it's really an important contribution for you to make to new members. So if somebody asks you for a testimonial and you have worked with them and it has been a positive experience, just take the minute to go leave that testimonial. It's a really important thing. It's a really valuable thing for our community. All right. Any other questions? Go ahead and get them in the IRC. Get the feeling everybody's over in one of the other sessions today. I know the snappy Q&A is going on. Should have called this the snappy community council Q&A. Then everyone would be here. Just add snappy to everything.
Here's a question for people. What would people like to see the community council do more of? You know, what can we do to help the community? You elect us, so what can we do to help? Or am I just opening a can of worms here?
Open it up. So yeah, we do need feedback from everybody. If they think there's something we should be doing more of. All right, Svetlana is asking when the next election is for the community council. Does anyone know off the top of the head?
Pretty sure it's November, yeah.
November, most of us time out. Expire, yeah. There's also a question, what are the benefits of being part of the CC? How do you like it? What is your benefit really is part of the whole deal? I know I do enjoy it. I get to see what different groups of people do in the Ubuntu community, not just from a developer point of view, but the translations, people leading their local teams' advocacy. So I get to see that, and I get to see a bigger picture of what's actually happening, and I love that, to be honest. I think it's very eye-opening, and it makes you very proud to be part of something that is what is the Ubuntu community. And I personally, I've done it for almost 4 years, and I love it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, being able to help the community and grow the community, I think, is the biggest benefit for me. I mean, all of us on the CC, we do it because we love this community, we love this project, and we like to be able to help it grow and watch it grow. As far as direct benefits, there really aren't any. It's all responsibility, but it is rewarding when you do get to see your actions and your work actually going out and helping the wider project and community.
Which is a reward in itself.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I can't imagine anyone would do this for any other benefit, really.
I think it's the benefit that any leadership position has. Is just being able to help something that you care about.
Yeah. Okay, so David's asked a question that mostly we've been covering, apart from the challenging bit. I guess the most challenging thing that I've had to deal with is not actually being able to answer somebody. If somebody's asked us a question and we can't actually get the answer, that's challenging.
It's also challenging when there isn't a clear answer. There's a lot of things where it's not black or white, and you have to make a decision on what you think is going to result in the best outcome for the community. And those are difficult questions to do because none of us can tell the future. We're using our judgment and our experience and trying to make the best decisions that we can based on that.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing. I think it's most challenging is that, where we've given people answers and maybe they don't like the answers or it's not what they wanted to best hear, and that makes it harder for us because we have done our best. And maybe people don't always see that, and that can be kind of frustrating because maybe we put in a lot of time for that. It's taken weeks to get an answer, and we feeling a bit disheartened about the whole situation. That can be quite hard to deal with. But at the same time, you get to hear the other stories that people are using Ubuntu and are enjoying it and are building stuff with it. So there is a trade-off. I think the upside outweighs the downsides for sure for me.
All right. CMT asks, do you have a ratio about members, devs advocating, etc.? Are you talking Ubuntu members in general or community council members? Because remember, there are only 8 of us on the council, so ratios are probably going to be about 1/8 for everything. So Elizabeth answered the previous question just now in IRC that enforcing the community or the code of conduct is difficult, and thankfully it hasn't been something that the council's had to do very much. It's not something that we've done since I've been on the council. I know it's happened only a couple times before where they've had to tell somebody who has consistently not followed it to stop being involved in the project. But thankfully, that has been a very, very rare thing.
Okay, so CMT's come back. He's talking about Ubuntu members in general, not us. And I don't think
know
we've
of
got
any way
that.
to get metrics for that. Yeah, I mean, you can go through Launchpad and check out each person and categorize them as best you can, but it's going to be difficult because not only is it information not readily available, but so many people span so many different areas of the project.
So no, we don't.
If I had to guess, I would say it's pretty evenly spread out among the different areas of contribution. That it's not like 90% developers and 10% advocates. I think there's a much more even balance on that. So Elizabeth just posted links to the Ubuntu members Launchpad team if anybody wants to try and gather stats for that. It would be very interesting to know if it's possible. All right, so CMT is asking about people that we approve. And Laura, you just mentioned that the community council doesn't actually do that, at least not as a rule. We have membership boards who review these applications and they decide who to approve or not. And then we've also got some areas of the community that go through that process themselves. For example, the Kubuntu community can vote on and approve members based on their contributions to Kubuntu. I think the forums community can do that. A couple of others can do that. The CC can go into these membership meetings if they need an additional vote to be cast just to have enough people there voting. But as a general rule, we don't do that.
Okay, we've got a new question from Otmara. As members of the Community Council, do you believe that Ubuntu Desktop can be your main OS? And how do you feel about the competition? Also, how do you see the future for Ubuntu in fast computers?
For me, it's my desktop. I use it 24/7. In my new company when I started work, I specifically said I didn't want a Mac. And I have a machine that I wipe and it's currently running 15.04 as of last week. I love Ubuntu and I will always continue using it as my main OS. It's perfect for me, but that's my choice. But I do believe the fact that we have a true open source community means that anybody can switch their desktop to whatever they want and choose, and it will work for them. And that's what I like to see. How do I feel about the competition? I think competition is good and it's healthy. And without competition, it means nobody has any way to achieve the next goal, the next desktop, the next application. So competition is actually healthy to have.
Yeah, I've also been using Ubuntu for years. Before even I joined the Ubuntu community, I'd already switched to it as my primary desktop. And again, yes, competition is essential to growth. And I think competition from open source projects is even more important than competition from proprietary ones, because we can use the same things that they're developing when they prove to be better than what we have. And we have done that in a lot of occasions. So competition is good. I think open source competition is better than competition with proprietary stuff.
Yeah. I don't actually use Ubuntu. I use Ubuntu.
Which is still Ubuntu.
Which is certainly part of the family. I've been using it since 2007, and have only used that since 2007. I certainly never had a problem with anybody thinking there's a competition, and I have absolutely no idea about the future of Ubuntu in new fast computers.
I think Ubuntu has kept up with new computers as best we can. I mean, every time new hardware comes out, there is a period of time where we don't have drivers for it until somebody updates the existing drivers or writes something new. But I think we've overall done a very good job of keeping up. And I think as we've gained more traction, it's become easier. And as new device form factors come out, I think we're going to be well positioned to be one of the first options, if not the first option, on that kind of hardware. All right, what was the next question? DS McGuire is making a call for testimonials. So you should be putting that call out directly to the people that you know that you've worked with. It's not really beneficial to make a general call, because you really want that personal connection in your testimonial. So pick people you've worked with, or at least people you know have seen the work that you've done, and ask them directly for a testimonial. That's the best way to do it. All right, have we missed any questions so far?
I don't believe so. Nope.
Right, so I'm going to repeat some of the stuff Elizabeth has said just so that it's on the video. In answer to the previous question, she said she's been using Linux for over a decade, and she works with a nonprofit called Partimus. It's partimus.org, and they deploy Linux-based computers to schools in their local area. So it is being used as the primary desktop by a lot of people, even people who don't necessarily get involved in Linux and open source. Let's see. And then she also says that she thinks the future of Ubuntu on desktop is tied to how long we use desktops in general. A lot of people have switched to tablets and smartphones. And I think she's right. I think there's always going to be some use for desktops, but I do also see tablets and smartphones and devices in between starting to replace a lot of those uses. But then again, I think we're going to start calling a lot of these new devices something related to desktop anyway. So, like, I would consider a convertible tablet that has, you know, attachable keyboard. I would consider that a desktop when you've got the keyboard attached. All right, David asks, you've mentioned that you regularly catch up with Ubuntu teams. How does the CC coordinate and communicate with other Ubuntu councils? So at the start of every cycle, we go through the list of all the other teams and councils, and pick one of our biweekly meetings for them, and then send them an email to schedule that. That's been the primary way we've been doing it. But again, people can come to us anytime that they want to talk to us. They can add something to our agenda anytime they need to add something to that. It's not strictly based on that schedule. That schedule is just to make sure that we do follow up with all of them at least once a cycle.
So there's also a question there, can the members of the CC make testimonials for people who want to apply? Yes, if we worked with you guys, for sure. I mean, no different than anybody else, and many of us do work with various different teams, and if we've had that close connection and work, feel free just to ask us to leave a testimonial the same as you'd ask anybody else.
And testimonies aren't just limited to Ubuntu members either. Obviously, having an Ubuntu member write a testimonial for you is going to carry a lot of weight with the membership boards, but anybody that you've worked with that can say something good about what you've done and how that's helped Ubuntu is a good testimonial to have. All right, the next question is, how many Ubuntu communities exist in Europe? And CMT has already given him the links that I would have given him, which is loco.ubuntu.com/teams. That's where you can find all of our loco teams. Beyond locos, though, there are people participating in all of the Ubuntu teams in the community from Europe. It's just harder to really say that those teams are based in Europe because they are global teams. They've got people from all over. Walter says there's a school system in Canada that's actually switched to Lubuntu and chose it because it saved them from having to buy new computers, which is an awesome story to hear. Walter, if you have a link to that story somewhere and can share it with us. Or better yet, write about it in a blog post and get it up on Planet or The Fridge.
That's something to think about, folks. Is if you're not a member just yet, but you do want to share a good story like that, feel free just to ping somebody, maybe somebody on the CC, and we can find somebody to post it for you. But stories like that are actually brilliant to share. And just because you aren't a member just yet, but do want to share that success story, please let us know. You can always post a local contacts mailing list and share that kind of information, because people love to hear that kind of stories. And I think it's great to see these kind of successes happen in schools and in education and in public sectors.
Yeah, it's really a huge motivating factor to see the work that you've done being used by other people, especially people that are on the other side of the world or that you've never talked to before. It's one thing to know that your friends are using it, but to know that complete strangers are using it and are happy with it and benefiting from it is really a big motivator for a lot of people. I know it is for me. So yeah, definitely share any of those stories as you come across them. All right, next question is from David again. To everybody, how did you first get involved in Ubuntu, and what made you consider joining the CC after all? So Elizabeth actually interviewed all of us recently, and that was one of the questions on there. So you can go back and read her posts. I think they're all on Fridge. She can point you to where those are. But yeah, do you guys want to recap what you said in there? Does anyone want to go first? I'll go first then. I had a job working at Verizon, which is the big telephone company around here. And actually, when I showed up there the first day, they gave me a workstation running CentOS, which was exciting. I'd used Linux before, primarily on servers. It was the first time I've actually been given a workstation running Linux and told that that was going to be what I use every day for my day job. So that was exciting, and I used that for quite a while until one of my coworkers one day brought in an Ubuntu, I think it was 4.10 CD and started telling me about this Ubuntu project and how it's got, you know, much newer packages than CentOS, and it's a lot more polished and user-friendly, and I should give it a try. So I actually ended up installing that on my work machine instead of CentOS and using it for a while. And eventually it made its way onto my home desktop. And I found that there was a local community here in Florida, and a guy named John Pugh, who works at Canonical, invited me out to one of their meetups, and that's how I got started with the Ubuntu community. And that was, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago that was. It's been like 8-9 years ago now. Wow, now I feel old. All right, so that's my story. Elfie, do you want to go next?
Well, I've never worked with computers really. I was just casting around for something to use, and I happened on Ubuntu, so that was it. Away I went, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, so I joined the forums, and I've been there ever since. But interestingly, the part of David's question, I didn't hear you answer that. What made you consider joining the community council? That's a really easy thing for me to answer. It was Liz. I was talking to her in like Ubuntu channels and stuff, and she said, "Yeah, go for it." So I did.
So yeah, my story is very similar. I was asked, hey, would you consider nominating yourself to be on the community council? It's kind of out of the blue. I hadn't really talked to anybody about it before. Wasn't even really paying attention to the nominations that cycle.
Very similar.
Laura, do you want to share your story?
Yeah, so I got involved in Ubuntu back in 06, 07 when I moved to Dublin to be involved in a software testing job up there, and I'd been involved in the Irish Linux community, and somebody had set up, there's a new Ubuntu loco set up in Dublin, and they want to pop along for some drinks and conversation, and from that point it was just like, just get tucked in and get involved in bringing Ubuntu to Dublin and to Ireland, and I really, really enjoyed it. And from that point of view, we just got more involved, like on the wiki pages. I got involved in the membership boards, on the local council for a number of years, and I loved that. That was probably my most favorite part of actually being in the Ubuntu community, was the local council, because just meeting people and hearing the different stories from the different communities and hearing through their languages, how they do things in their community, organizing, school trips to talk about open source, to somebody bringing along some baked goods, to a picnic. We had lots of Geek Fest in Dublin. It just got me more involved in Ubuntu, and I absolutely loved it. I don't remember how I got involved for the CC. Like I said, I've been involved in the membership board for years and on the local council for about 4 years before I joined. I think somebody just said you should try this for a while and see what it's like, and I really do enjoy the community council. Sometimes there are days where you do want to pull your hair out, like we discussed earlier on, where you're stuck in limbo land of trying to give people the right information, and they're not happy, but there are the days where you get to hear about the stories of how people are doing great work and then building great applications, and people getting excited about membership boards where they didn't think they could become a member, and you talk to them and you realize the amount of work that they're doing. Really, they should be a member a long time ago, but they just need that extra little nudge to become an Ubuntu member, and I think that's what I enjoy it so much, just getting to talk to people, and I love it.
So Sammy is asking, what's the main target to be done in the next Ubuntu development cycle? And we're not a technical board. We're not really, at least as a council, we're not involved in the actual development of Ubuntu, the product. But there is a lot going on in the community and growing and improving the community over the next cycle. And if you go back and you watch the sessions that were on the community track here at UOS, you'll get an idea of some of those. As far as the council itself, there's a couple things that I've got work items to bring up within the council. around increasing Ubuntu membership and getting people to apply to be members. As Laura just mentioned, there's a lot of people who really should be who just haven't applied. Either they don't know it's an option or something they should be doing, or they're not confident enough to do it, but really they've done more than enough. So focusing on getting more people to apply and improving the information that we have around membership is one area of focus. And the other one is trying to boost up our community of leaders within Ubuntu and making sure that we are growing new leaders as we go, because nobody can be a leader forever. We need to make sure that we always have new ones coming up who are ready to take over when somebody has to step down. So those are two focuses that I already know that we're going to have over the next cycle. All right, CMT. Oh, go ahead, Laura.
I just saw a question there. So CMT just asks, do you ever think you take too much personal time for Ubuntu in real life circle? Has anybody ever told you that you're not paid for that? Why do you do that? Funny question. Yeah. So how I first got involved in Ubuntu back in 6 or 7 was at one point I actually paid for myself to go to the UDS. I thought I'd actually have my own holiday around Ubuntu. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time around Ubuntu in my real life as well. I've been really fortunate that through my work in open source and Ubuntu, I've actually landed other roles and other jobs in other open source communities. So for me, it's benefited, and now I spend my day job doing open source stuff. So it's worked in my favor. So I can't really say that for me, but I don't think it's the same for everybody. But it wouldn't change anything.
No, I wouldn't change anything either. I have been asked if I've had people ask me that. Why do you do it? You're not being paid. But they're not really the type of people that are involved in this kind of community, so they don't really understand my answer. So they carry on being rather bemused by the whole thing.
So I'm actually in kind of an interesting situation because I actually do work for Canonical. So a lot of my involvement in Ubuntu I do get paid for. But then a lot of it, like being on the community council, is something that I don't get paid for. And it's hard sometimes to make the distinction between when I'm spending time on something I get paid for and when I'm not. And combined with the fact that Canonical is very flexible, most of us work from home, so I can take time in the middle of my day to work on community council stuff. I take a lot of time after my regular 9 to 5 hours to work on both work stuff and community stuff. So it does blur the lines a bit, and it does get difficult sometimes to find that right balance to make sure that I'm not spending all of my time on Ubuntu-related things. So yeah, it is difficult. It's a balance that everybody, I think, has to strike. And it is really important to strike that balance, because if you do go too far into Ubuntu, especially if you don't have somebody telling you that you're spending too much time in it, it is easy to get burned out and let that become something that's not beneficial to your life, something that doesn't make you happy. And it's important that you enjoy what you're doing. Whether you're getting paid for it or not, it's important to enjoy what you're doing and not let it take over.
There's just a question there. I did just see it there a second ago. Reading to the logo page, I could not find how the logo team could get verified status. How does a community get approved? So I'm just going to post the link to IRC. But for questions like that, if you ping the Ubuntu local council, but it's basically Oh, we've got the same page there, Mike. Same at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's our team verification guidelines. But basically, all teams, they wanted them to be verified or approved, so that there's no approval process anymore. As long as you're an active community, you can be part of the verified status. It's just showing you that you're part of the Ubuntu community and you've reached out to the local council. Yeah.
And that really just kind of helps us make sure that we are, when we have resources to give out, that we're using them wisely. Loco teams can request things like conference packs or a box of DVDs after each release. And we want to make sure that those are going to active teams, because we do have, you know, a limited amount of money and resources to spend on that. But it doesn't reflect on the quality of the team at all. And we've got a lot of teams that aren't verified that even aren't really interested in being verified because they don't request these resources, and that's fine. That doesn't make a difference. You're still a Loco team. You're still, you know, same level as any other Loco team, and we do appreciate the people who are active in those and plan meetings and stuff for those. All right, the IRC bot is telling us that we've got 5 minutes left. Do we have any other final questions? Because as it turns out, we also have, is it yeah, first Thursday of the month, so we all technically have an IRC meeting coming up. And we hold those in #Ubuntu-meeting on Freenode IRC. So if anybody wants to just follow along and see what we do, you can do that also anytime. All right, I don't see any other questions.
No.
Alfie, Laura, Liz,
Yeah,
do you have anything you want to say?
Yep. So actually, there's just one comment there on IRC. There's the community donations. There is a page online that if anybody would like to request donations, if you would like to request sponsorship for events that you're going to related to Ubuntu, do apply for that fund. There is money to be used. The community council has no say in it, but the community team in Ubuntu and Canonical do. And maybe Mike can actually post that link to channel, but I do know a lot of people don't know about that fund. It is there for you, so involved in the Loco team or advocacy on your own part, feel free to make use of that fund. It is there for the entire Ubuntu community. Please try and use it. Thank you.
So this is, when you go to download Ubuntu from the main webpage, you'll get a donations form where you can opt to send a little bit of money to help boost the development of Ubuntu in the community. And part of that money, the stuff that's given directly to community use, goes into this fund that is made available back to other people in the community. So I just wanted to say thank you to anybody who has donated through that form, because we have been able to use that to do a lot of good and help a lot of people be active in the community and run events and go to conferences and things like that. So it's really been a huge big useful resource for us and has benefited the wider community quite a bit. And again, yes, if you think that you can use that to do something to benefit Ubuntu, please apply for it. We do have a lot in there that we can use.
I certainly did.
All right, well, we are out of time now, and we are also out of questions. Thank you, everybody, for coming along and asking.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. And we will see you on IRC. Bye, guys.
Bye.